For a fourth straight year, the Packers are again the team to beat in the NFC North. Green Bay has won 13 games each of the last 3 seasons, but they've fallen short of the Super Bowl. The last time they were there, Aaron Rodgers was 27 years old. He's now 38, but much richer. Rodgers just signed a record-setting contract, but they no longer have his favorite target, perhaps the best wide receiver in the league, after trading Davante Adams to Vegas. The team did draft him a new weapon in round 2, but there have never been more questions about Rodgers' pass catchers than there are entering his 18th season in the league.
There's a lot of things that happen that surprise you, even still. We've had a lot of success with the second and third round receivers.
Their only potential competition appears to be in Minnesota, as the Vikings' high-powered offense gets a boost with new head coach Kevin O'Connell coming over after coordinating the Rams' Super Bowl winning offense last season.
We're going to have competition and really use the skill sets of all the guys that end up being able to help us.
The Lions don't appear ready to contend in the division, but the arrow is finally pointing up in Motown after adding hometown product Aiden Hutchinson and game-breaking wideout Jameson Williams, a young team that has taken on the tough-minded identity of their head coach.
There's a ton of experience, there's a ton of youth, there's a ton of energy, and on top of that, every one of those guys that's in there is competitive.
And in Chicago, it's year 2 of Justin Fields, but year 1 of former Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. The Bears lost arguably their best players on both sides of the ball, Khalil Mack on defense, Allen Robinson on offense. So Eberflus will have his work cut out for him with a fan base that's growing increasingly impatient.
Leadership on a football team is the number one priority you have to establish.
The NFC North has only fielded multiple playoff teams twice in the last 5 seasons, and it again appears to be one of the weaker divisions in football.
The North remembers. Frankly, it's hard to forget. 3 consecutive 13-win seasons for the reigning division champion Packers. 12-0, looking to make it 4 in a row, but Rodgers not in the same company as before, having lost his and anyone's top target for that matter in Davante Adams. The Vikings, meanwhile, again, an in-vogue pick heading into the season behind an extended Captain Kirk. In Chicago, as you heard, it's year 2 for Fields and year 1 of the Eberflus-Poles regime. And then in Big D, Big Dan, looking to continue to turn the tide with Vegas, offering a small vote of confidence in that direction. Talk totals with a man who's always got a game plan. CBS football analyst Emory Hunt aboard to dial into the NFC North here. Emory, let's roll out the barrel with an NFC mainstay. Green Bay looking to make an 11-win mark a winning number north of that following 3 consecutive 13-win seasons, but you lose Adams along with Zadarius Smith, 2 key offensive line pieces, a starting corner. Does the new makeup of this team affect your viewpoint, or is it back-to-back-to-back for the MVP and maybe something on the team side as well?
You know, it is back-to-back-to-back because I like the way Green Bay is constructed. You look at last year, no back went over 1,000 yards, and we know they have 2 tremendous ones in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. The good part about it is the fact that now you have guys that are back healthy, up front, Elton Jenkins, Bakhtiari. You're bringing back Josh Myers. So that should alone improve the run game. They have one of the better offensive lines in football. So I think their offense will be great from that standpoint. We know they've added some young talent at wide receiver. I love the trio of Samari Toure, Christian Watson, and Romeo Doubs. All those guys are lean, lengthy, and can fly. So the offense shouldn't miss a beat defensively. Adding Wyatt from Georgia helps up front, and we already know what they have on the back and in the secondary. Hopefully Eric Stokes can catch these interceptions that he dropped last season, but they're solid in all 3 facets of defense. So I like Green Bay. I think they go over that number.
And you see the sample size of Aaron Rodgers without his top target in Davante Adams, who now starts a new lease on life in Vegas, 7-0. Although there's no argument to be made that 17 makes you better. It seems like every season right about now, Emory, analysts, writers, sharps, they all start talking themselves into the Vikings. Offensively, Minnesota, they ask a completely different question than Green Bay. Can the guy under center get the ball to those all-pro playmakers in Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook? Total is 9. How many you got?
I'm glad you said that, Joe, because that's one of my favorite all-time pastimes in the offseason is watching people talk themselves into Minnesota and Kirk Cousins going all the way when he is 59-2 as a starter. The question is whether or not he can come through in these key games in key moments. And until we see otherwise, it's hard to trust him going over 9 wins. So I'm going to go push here because I feel like 9 is the right number. They have a schedule that includes Buffalo, New Orleans, Dallas. They got some big heavy hitters that they're going to have to beat. Indianapolis is another one. Plus, they got to play Green Bay twice. So I struggle to see them, getting over that 9-win mark. If they do, it'll be because Kirk Cousins came through in the clutch in one of these big games, and that's going to be what I'm going to be watching for. One guy to keep an eye on, you talked about, Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Keep an eye out for undrafted rookie free agent Thomas Hennigan out of Appalachian State. That dude is going to be outstanding in the preseason. Game is kind of similar to that of Adam Thielen.
I'm sure you got him penciled in for 2 wins of the team we're about to talk about here. In Chicago, the Bears fans going to get their second and most consistent look at Justin Fields as a starter. The stop-and-go rookie campaign left something to be desired, but new air in the room can change a lot as I try and talk myself into it. Year 1 under Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles has, in a way, hit the reset button and resetting expectation. Vegas not budging off their 6.5. What's your read on the Monsters of the Midway?
And it's interesting that they didn't budge off this number because I feel like the hook is what's going to get people. I'm going to go under because I do see Chicago winning 6 games. I love the addition of N'Keal Harry. I feel like that's going to be a great addition for Justin Fields. And for me, this year is all about watching the first-year guys and second-year guys take that next step. Fields playing the entire season as the unquestioned starter with an offense built around his skill set. Going into this season, understanding that, to me, that's going to yield better results toward the back end of the season. Defensively, they're young too. The secondary, I feel like, you're going to have 2 rookies. You're going to have Gordon from Washington and Brisker from Penn State. 2 excellent prospects, but they're rookies. So when you look at their offensive line, I said this before, their 2 deep is a lot of young guys. So by the back end of the season, I think we'll all be saying, man, keep an eye out for Chicago in 2023 because I would like the way they finish the season. I think that's going to happen. But 6 to me is the magic number for the Bears.
Yeah, time to grow up early and often for the Bears, and maybe a lot of share in the David Montgomery marketplace here in fantasy and DFS in the season to come. We'll see if they lean on that run game behind that youthful offensive line. Detroit, meanwhile, perfect example of how a head coach can begin to turn the tide. Dan Campbell had his team beginning to believe last season, and odds makers, they're buying in as well a bit here. 6 is the number. That's a total they have not reached since 2018. How big of a jump do they make this season?
I think they make a big jump. 7 or 8 could be a possibility for Detroit. So I'm going to go over. I talked about Green Bay's offensive line. This offensive line rivals Green Bay and will have a legitimate argument for the best offensive line in the NFC North. Their run game is tremendous. They go 3 deep in the backfield, so they'll be able to run the football and play good defense this year. That's going to be the biggest difference. You add Aiden Hutchinson, he should help the pass rushing presence. You see better play from Levi Onwuzurike up front along the defensive line next to Alim McNeil, the 2 young players they drafted last year. And that linebacker, I'm a big fan of what they have already in Derek Barnes, the linebacker they drafted last year from Purdue, and James Houston, a rookie this year from Jackson State, who not only can play with his hand in the dirt and rush the quarterback, he's excellent off the ball. And we already know what they have in the secondary with, Tracy Walker and what they have. Hopefully Jeff Okudah can take the next step forward, come back healthy. But I like how Detroit is built. It's going to be run game, front 7 play. That's going to win them some ball games. It's going to help them get over that 6 number this season.
All right, so for those keeping track at home, it's over in Green Bay, a push in Minnesota, Chicago under, Detroit over. I don't see a jumping on the Bears bandwagon in that case to win the division here. But let's talk division winner. Is it Green Bay copy and paste once again?
It is Green Bay copy and paste when you think about Aaron Rodgers and what they've added around him and, in terms of the receivers. But for me, it's the offensive line coming back healthy. It's that defense locking in once again. They were able to re-sign Rasul Douglas, give him that contract extension. You hope Eric Stokes can capitalize on those interception opportunities. And we know Jair Alexander is one of the top 3 or 4 corners in football. So they'll be able to score. They'll be able to take the ball away. They'll be just fine in the NFC North.
53 sleeps till we get it going. Emory Hunt. We'll break it down from now until then. Thank you, my friend. All right, here's a look at those plays once again. Packers play them over the 11. It's been 13 3 consecutive seasons. You lose Adams, but you gain a little help with David Bakhtiari back on the offensive line. Perhaps they become more multiple in the run game as well. Vikings, that's a regular season win total of 9. That's where Emory's got them. As for the Bears, the hook's going to get you, says they are a 6-win team. And the Lions will go north of that 6, play them over with your NFC North winner. Green Bay, going to cost you a price.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.